Hi. Happy, what is it, Thursday? It's November. I'm sitting out here watching some of these kids play. I love how, games, some stay the same over the years and some change. You know what I also realized is, when little girls play, they play doctor and teacher and, house. Where boys, they sword fight. They play, wrestling. They play with action figures and they, kick and fight. And it's just funny, the dynamic. It's almost like, most of the time, girls are just they're playing, but they're doing like things that, that they're going to do, when they're older. And, boys, it's kind of like they're doing what they're going to at some point have to grow out of. You don't have to grow out of completely of liking, to watch certain things or, but maybe just to not be everything in your life, not be the only thing you focus on, right? So I'm here sitting, just journaling and, thinking more about my lessons and my conversations with God and trying to put it out into, what can I filter for myself? What can I share with others? And how can I plan my next steps, my goals? What is it I want to do next? I think the first thing I'm going to start off with is probably switching my coffee from being iced to being warm because it is chilly outside. I got to tell you guys something I did yesterday. I'm telling you, not all my ideas are fantastic, okay? I always forget. The mornings, when I go get my daughter, like yesterday on her half days, I suck down the coffee and then forget it's going to be one of my more physical days, where I got to do a lot more moving, not even walking. It seems like I'm running to, get where I need to be on time. So my point is I thought, all that caffeine, I usually get really sweaty and then I get dehydrated. So I thought, well, let me water down because I usually get the dark roast. So I watered it down and then I'm like, well, let me put more creamer, and I put like caramel and, white mocha in it. And then I was, in the motion of going and drinking it and going, this is like just iced sugar. And sure enough, I got sick. And I'm like, this wasn't a great idea. I think I was trying to reduce the amount of coffee, but really ended up drinking more sugar. And anyway, so lesson is don't try to dilute your coffee, just drink less. And then now that it's getting cold, it might not have to be so iced, right? Anyway, but thinking about yesterday, I was writing out, and the inspiration was, you are love, you are a warrior, but what you want to attract, or be what you want to attract, I'm thinking about dating, starting to reply to some of these messages. And so I'm thinking, okay, so what do I want? Do I want love? Do I want vulnerability? Do I want emotionally healthy? Well, I realize, you got to be it yourself. You got to be those things. So I know it starts with taking your power back. I like how one of the things God said, what did he say? He said, he whispered to me, he said, are you honestly concerned about the playbook of the losing team? I thought that was funny, and I had to think about it for a couple of days, and I was like, what is he referring to exactly? And it's like, is it people that is, seeking me to spend time with me or to know me? Or is it, it's people that are against me, people that are like my enemies, people that are not, my friends. Unfortunately, sometimes people come in your life and I'm one of those people that I just always give people the benefit of the doubt, and I just, give and tell and, assume that they're going to, well receive, and it's going to be a, healthy, long-term, friendship. And, that's not always the case. And they don't always tell you directly to your face. Sometimes it's, you finding out, the hard way when they expose themselves as, they're talking bad behind your back, or they're doing something, not nice, to kind of stop you from, either doing something or feeling something, or, so that sucks. But after I wrote that letter of the who hurt me, he had me do, I look back on some of the other notes, because, a lot of times I'll write down what he said or what I'm learning, and, I don't have to do it all at once. So it's like a whole, process. So I wanted to share with you guys another part of the program, as you will, to be healthier, that was also done and, needs to be continued doing, because, I want to be a healthy human being, and I want you guys to be healthy. It's about, forgiveness is you're forgiving, you're releasing that person, and you're doing what, God does for us. We forgive others so we can be forgiven, and we can move forward, and we can remember what we've learned from it. So that kind of person will be more aware of, right? Will know the red flags, as you will, and will be more careful to really get to know the person before we, give out all of the goods, right from the jump. We give them an opportunity. You don't got to be, not nice. It's just maybe not as, what's the word? Don't overabundance or overwhelm the assumption, and, put yourself in a vulnerable position again. I mean, you give and you wait to see if you are well received, and then they give. It's like an equal. They give a little, they give you a little. Give a little more, they give a little more. It's almost like a dance, right? Dance back and forth. So I see him shining behind me, coming through, as usual. So I wrote what I had to do, and what I encourage you guys to do is I wrote some letters, very important. Even if you don't send them, you go down that list of, who hurt me, and it's kind of like an emotional detox, right? You got to be raw emotions, like a real letter to the person. I'm just giving an example. Dear mom, I felt this, that, whatever, at this age you did this, at this age you said this, I really wanted this. I even asked for it and didn't get it. And I don't mean like, I wanted a Barbie and you to buy it for me. The real important, your feelings, whether it was the anger, the hurt, the shame, the, whether it was a boyfriend that cheated on you, or if it was, a relationship where you felt you gave more, or you did more, or, they're not responding, they're ignoring you, or, a friend that you realized she was, stealing money and turning other, friends against you, whatever it is. So you write down all the truth, all that, comes to mind. And, you write as many letters or people down. First, it's a list, and you write down who comes to mind. And it doesn't matter, how old it is. It doesn't matter how many things, whatever. And what happens is, as you start writing those certain couple of people, and then you write those certain kind of letters, that is like the biggest things, the stronger feelings, the ones that will really, there that you needed to release, remove. And then, later down the road, you may, come up with more. Or, you go in the future and you find, whether it's another person that you become involved with or get to know that ends up, on that list later. Anyway, so after that, or in that process, it's important to do the whole, as if you're going to write a list, write the benefit of playing the victim list, right? Now, the key of doing that is, and the reason why is if you can't come up with anything, it means you're healing. Like if you can't, begin to list things on that list, that's a good thing. And if you can, well, process that, figure out if what is it really? Is it you? Is it them? Is it, and what part of it? And, break that down. But anyway, so back to what I'm doing and encourage others to do or have done and is working, right? It's not, you got to figure out that it's not you any longer. It may very well be them. One of the ones you wrote the letter to. Oftentimes, a person will think, especially in a relationship, that the grass is greener on the other side. But, they leap the fence just to realize it's just asphalt, painted green, right? I like the comparison test that I was shown, where it was kind of like, it was supposed to be like a gag or a joke, but if you think about it, there's actually a bigger meaning. This is the first year where I realized God doesn't want, Halloween celebrated. It's not a good purpose. So I am, detoxing from old ideas. The irony is my oldest daughter, as much as I love her, and that's her favorite, holiday. And I appreciate that. Maybe someday if she ever, has a baby shower or something, I'll do it Halloween theme or something. But he just means as in like, celebrating, the dark side of it, the evil. So even though I have a young, couple of, child, grandson, and, plan to have more, it won't be so much, the deeper, darker parts of it. It might be just, some positive costumes and maybe just dressing up in the house and, things like that. I can buy them, some candy or some treats to do, candied apples or, whatever, make it a fall activity, make it a fun activity throughout the week. It doesn't even have to be that day, but not so much. Halloween, I didn't, even celebrate at all. I went to my room and worked. And I just kind of like gave thanks to God to start to learn, to kind of get out of that, what do you call it? Like the pagan aspect, of holidays. But anyway, but what I got from it though, that was a Halloween like gag. I saw the bigger meaning and I wanted to share with you guys. So what it is the whole purposely, setting out candy apples, but doing candied onions as well, right? Like a whole onion. And it's like we want to, get someone to like bite into it and it be, an onion instead of an apple, like they choose, one of the wrong ones or whatever, or the trick one, right? But if you think about it, biting into candied apple, biting into candy onion. Think about the bigger picture of that. It's like people are like that, they portray, they tell people, I'm a Christian and they wear makeup and I don't drink coffee and I go to church and, but then you realize in private, they're gossiping and they're stealing and they're lying and they're cheating and, they're sinning as well. They're just, I like those, selective sinners, that the ones that think that, their sins aren't as bad as, someone else's, or, they'll hang themselves up on the idea, well, you do this, so that must mean this, and it's a toxicity that even I've had to come out of over the years. Just having a good heart is not enough. To truly be, a loving person and worthy of love, and is to not judge someone, to forgive them, to not judge them, to ask questions, to share your insight, learn who they are, what they believe and not believe, and why. Sometimes it's the reason too. Some people just might not have, the correct information, or maybe need to be willing to see or to hear different than what they've done or been used to for, however many years. I mean, you got to figure some people, it's not so much that they're even, bad people. It's, I've been doing this for, let's say, 40 years. So, but let's not also use the whole, I'm just born this way. This is how I am. This is how I'm going to remain. It's like, no, it's definitely effort. You got to put in the work to undo what you've been doing for so long, or not even undo, maybe just kind of, what do they say? Like, when you kind of like recreate, or you re-enhance, or you change slightly. When we cook big meals, even at holidays, we don't always do the same thing, do we? We try to change it up. Every birthday, we're not doing the same thing. Every, year, or every 5 years or 10 years of an anniversary, or, as we get older, we're not doing things exactly the same way. When we're encouraged or inspired, we certainly want to go, wow, that's a great idea, or I want to try that, or maybe I should start doing that, I look at it that way. But I realize I deserve to have someone, to be there for me, a solid, person or people. So that's why I can respond to, messages and offers to, want to go do things or spend time together. It's a healthy thing, and then obviously, you pay attention to the new person, and you just remember the things you learned, and you don't worry about yourself to death and assume that every person is going to be a, toxic or negative person. If you're not a toxic or negative person, you attract more and more non-toxic, non-harmful people, right? So the biggest thing I've started to do is and not just now, like I've been doing, that really was healthy and healing for me, is I focused on whittle time. Whenever we're going to spend some quality time together, I gather some, great things to do and experience together. Like, what did we do yesterday? I got a couple of great, like, beauty hacks. I know I gotta go do my steps. I will in a minute. What did I do yesterday? Oh, I got this. There's a serum. And I told her, I said, hey, you know how we get that special spray and we put it in water when we put seeds in the ground and we spray it and then they turn into like beautiful like flowers, like all of a sudden there's like blooming? And she goes, yeah. I go, well, guess what I found? There's a brand new serum. It's like for your eyelashes. It's not mascara, I said, but it's like a serum. Look at it. It's in this little bottle. And it comes with, disposable brushes. And you put it on your lashes and it helps them grow bigger. And you should have seen how big her eyes went. She went, wow, really? I want to put some on. And I'm like, I figured she would like that. And then I got some yummy, there's some new, like an iced lemon biscotto. Essential oils. It's for like anxiety or stress, right? You open it and you smell it, and you can put some drops on your wrists, and so I set those out and we smelt them, and it was delightful, delish. It was the best dessert tasting stuff ever, right? So we smelt that a couple times and then set it down, and then I got a dream catcher kit that we started working on, and she's painting it, and there was some stars, and then she picked one where she just painted a solid color, and then the other one she wanted to do in almost like rainbows, but she created her own colors. And I started seeing Tatiana right away, just like I was telling you guys, where she was taking a little pink paint, putting it on the paper towel, took a little green, put a little on paper towel, made her own purple, and I was like, wow, I see what's going on here. So she did that a couple of times, and then she was painting the sky, so to speak, right on this board. And she started painting, and then she started smearing the paint with a paper towel And then she started blotting with a paper towel, right? And then she goes, I wish I had a canvas. I'm going to get frustrated because this is not going to be perfect right now. And I'm going, wow. She's starting to try to be a little Picasso at 7 years old. And I just was making notation, and she got a little stressed out. She was trying to trace an image. She was trying to teach her how to do. She wanted to learn how to do like exploding stars and like, different things to the sky. And so one of the moments she got stressed, and I said, "Hey, grab the oil. Smell it." So I said, "Practice makes what? Practice makes what?" And she was frustrated. And I go, "Smell the oil. Smell the oil." And she did. And she was like, "Oh, it smells and tastes good." And she was like, "Oh, I feel better now all of a sudden. I feel better." And then, she wanted to go back to doing the project. So I was just so proud of her. It turns out that those things work. I like them. I definitely would get some more flavors. And I also introduced her to glow sticks. Years ago, remember, we used to get those things where they pop and they glow. So it's a whole new element to her. I got her the bracelet and necklace, unicorn kit. And she was popping them and putting them on and making her own jewelry and just lit up like a light bulb. So it was so fun. And but the point was, I stayed calm, cool, and collected. We both, stayed in a good mood, and we learned something and enjoyed each other's time. And it's like, this is the way, we want things to be. This is how we want, life to be much more positive. I loved that, a social worker checked in with me, and the first thing she said to me is, she goes, "You look great. You look like you have lost some weight, and you look healthy." And I just lit up, and I said, "Yeah, I've dropped 20 pounds. I said, "It's all the steps I've been doing. How are you?" It's just, great that even someone that you may think would be, a judgmental person or whatever, everybody's certainly capable of having a, better outlook in life and pay more attention to the positive, right? And less to the negative. So the other and last lesson I'm going to tell you guys I learned about yesterday is my hip was really hurting last night. And I went, "God, I think I pulled it or something." My hip never bothers me. My back, after walking, and my feet, obviously, because you guys know about my surgeries and injuries. But the point was, having that kind of hip. And so when I did physical therapy this morning, I'm telling you, God speaks to me through people too, because she said, "So what did you do different?" And I said, I'm doing my walking. It's great. I'm all the way up to like 5 days now. And I said, and I even pushed past the goal yesterday. Again, I did, 7,000. And she goes, "Oh, I see what you're doing." She goes, "Yes, walking is the only thing you're supposed to be doing." She said, "But we set a goal for a reason." She said, "What it is you're supposed to strive to meet your goal and then maintain your goal." She said, "You can't overdo it. You get to the point where you're doing more than you're supposed to be doing. You're pushing too much." She goes, "Then you injure yourself when you take yourself out." She goes, "Then you're not going to be able to physically, go again the next day. You'll end up taking, a week out even." She said, "You gotta, yes, keep doing the walking and keep, reaching an attainable goal," she said, "but then you steady and maintain progress by doing, the 5,000 5 times a week is perfect." She said, "Don't do 7,000. Then you won't be able to do it all." She said, "You got to take that in." I go, "God, that's an excellent way to look at it." So achieve the goal and maintain. That's how you become better. That's how you progress. That's how you learn the lesson, right? Is that you show it and you keep doing it, but don't do too much. We got to remember that we're human and we're healing and we want to stay healthy and human, right? And productive. So I was grateful to her for saying that. And I'm grateful to you guys for showing up again today. And I'm going to get going because the sun's going down and I got to go get my steps in. I feel a lot better. I iced it. So I'll just make sure I do my 5 and then be able to perform tomorrow, right? All right, take care, guys. Be well. Do something healthy and do something that puts a smile on your face so that you guys are happy, because that is the best obtainable goal each day, right? Bye, guys.